We are now live.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Armando Cuellar Jr., President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This board workshop is being conducted pursuant to Governor Greg Abbott's suspension of certain open meeting law requirements to the extent necessary to allow for telephonic and video conference meetings in response to COVID-19. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. The board is meeting by the use of Google Meets and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during public comments. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time now is 5:37, and I call this workshop to order. We don't need a quorum for a workshop, but I will acknowledge trustees that are present. Mrs. Jackie Sustaita, Mr. Mark de los Santos,
Present.
Jesse Trevino,
Present.
and myself, Armando Cuellar. Carlos, is anybody online or
Not at this time.
not at this time? Okay. Are there any public comments?
There are none.
There are no public comments. Item 3. Presentation by forensic audit firms that responded to the request for qualifications to provide forensic audit services of the district's finances and operations, RFQ number 21-01-20. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, good evening. We will have presentations by 2 forensic audit firms who responded to an RFQ. We will do this a 10-minute presentation, 10-minute Q&A, and we will begin with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, LLC. And we ask that Weaver and Tidwell, LLP, remove themselves from the virtual presentation by Carr's, Riggs, and Ingram, and then rejoin us in about 25 minutes.
The firm that will make this first presentation.
It's Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, LLC.
Okay, and we'll inform them of the 9-minute mark. You'll know when you have a minute left.
Okay.
Who will be keeping the track of the time? Coach Trevino will keep track of time. Okay. You have.
All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Aaron Rios. I'm a partner at Carr, Riggs, and Ingram out of our Rio Grande Valley unit. I'm just going to give a brief introduction, followed by a background on Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, or CRI. Then talk about our forensic audit services and how CRI can help out the district. And then finally, just a brief discussion on our audit approach. And then afterwards, I'll be glad to answer any questions that the board may have. Like I said, my name is Aaron Rios. I'm with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram in our Rio Grande Valley unit. Our Rio Grande Valley unit was formerly a firm by the name of Long Chilton LLP, which had a presence here in the Valley for nearly 60 years prior to us merging in 2016 with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. So we consider ourselves, despite the fact that we're the large regional accounting firm, we still consider ourselves to be a local accounting firm that can provide, personalized local services. But our advantages are being part of CRI, that we have access to expanded corporate resources and also access to personnel in other offices should we need help. So we feel we have the benefits of being both small and large at the same time. A little background on Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, or CRI as we can call it. Overall, the firm, we have offices in 10 different states. We have over 1,900 professionals, 300 plus partners. Out of 45,000 firms in the United States, CRI is ranked number 25 in terms of revenue. It was established in 1997, and for the past 20 years had continuous growth in terms of revenues and size of the firm. We have active partner participation. What does that mean? A lot of times, some firms, you'll see the partner one time and then you won't see the partner anymore. They send someone out to do the work. We like to be involved in the work from beginning to end And so if we are selected, our partners are accessible all the time and will be available. Our values are tailored client service, respect, and unyielding integrity. A little information about our Rio Grande Valley unit. We have offices in Harlingen, McAllen, and Brownsville. In those 3 offices combined, we have close to 100 employees. We have 11 partners, and 5 of those partners are dedicated to providing audit services. And our offices here in the Rio Grande Valley, whether it be in Brownsville, McAllen, or Harlingen, we have immense experience with school districts. We've audited numerous school districts, or in the process of auditing numerous school districts, or we've provided audit-related services to these districts. Many of these relationships have lasted for many years, which I think is a testament to our to the quality of the services that we provide. Next, forensic audit services and how CRI can help out the district. We're ready to guide you through the stages of the forensic life cycle. So basically, a fraud examination, it's a term that describes the life cycle of fraud from prevention to detection and response. And forensics is rooted in gathering evidence through these fraud investigations and audits, supporting legal actions and litigation support, and providing expert witness testimony if needed. So how can CRI help out the district? Well, we can assist the district in assessing its fraud risks, including specific fraud schemes. We can perform fraud audits to gather evidence. We can provide investigative financial consulting, advanced data mining, analytics, other statistical methods. We can examine computers for evidence if need be. And then finally, we can provide analysis of ways to improve preventative and detective controls of the district. We can provide ways for the district to improve and further protect itself in the future. And if needed, we can help attorneys turn such data into forensic evidence for legal proceedings. And so our experts can serve as expert witnesses if need be. And our professionals can analyze fraud investigations, provide testimony regarding why fraud occurred, and even in some cases, who likely perpetrated that fraud. And so finally, the last part of it is, what is our forensic audit approach? Well, it's kind of very, very similar to a regular audit. CRI has a four-stage approach that starts off with 1, client acceptance and pre-planning, risk assessment and our audit strategy, then execution of that audit, and then finally reporting and monitoring. And I'll go over each one of these real quick, kind of what they entail. Stage 1, client acceptance and pre-planning. That's basically where we're going to collaborate with management to agree to the expectations and scope of the audit. And then we're going to assign appropriate staff based on the needs of the district and the assessed risk. Then we go with our risk assessment and audit strategy. That's basically we're going to interview client personnel to understand, specific objectives and risks. We're going to assess different aspects of the district and how those impact our audit plan. We're going to look at entity level controls, control environment, risk assessment, information and communication. We're going to look at IT controls. We're going to go through all of that to develop an overall strategy and plan for the audit. And then, of course, we have the audit execution, which actually is just performing the audit in and of itself. That can include many different tests, which include ratio analysis, trend analysis, predictive test, reasonableness test, regression analysis. We have a lot of software, that we can utilize. They're called computer-assisted audit techniques. We can go and drill down into data and find any anomalies or items that stand out. Perform test of details, sampling, a lot of that stuff. That's our audit execution. Then, of course, at the end, reporting and monitoring. Well, that's just our final end product to discuss our findings, what we found, and discuss those with management and members of the board. So in summary, we'd very much like to help the district out and provide our services. And at this time, that concludes my presentation. So I would be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Any questions?
I would like to take this opportunity to go ahead and announce that, Mr. Rios, my name is Jesse Trevino.
Yes.
I own One Stop Janitorial Services, and we've done services for you in the past few months. So I'm gonna have to abstain from voting on this, either way.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make that announcement. I just saw the companies today, and when I saw the name of your company, I informed them here, and I have to abstain.
Okay.
Anyone else? Mr. Los Santos?
How many, I know you said you did audits here in the valley with certain valley schools. How many of them have been actually forensic?
That we have not, in our office here in the Rio Grande Valley, I mean, to give you the honest answer, no, we have not performed a forensic audit. But we do believe that we have our audit experience, we know how to perform forensic audits, and our audit experience qualifies us to do that. And we also have an excellent forensic team out of our Florida offices that we have access to that can help out if need be.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question just because I'm wondering. I see that you say you don't have any forensic audits that have been here in the valley, but maybe others in the state somewhere. But my question is this: what is the average of years that you look at when you guys do a forensic audit for a school district? How far back do you go?
That just depends, depending on what, at this point in time, we really, the details of the RFQ were vague, and intentionally so, but we don't know exactly what it is the district wants. So it kind of depends on what are we looking at? What is the issue at hand? And so sometimes that might mean looking at 1 year, or it might mean going back 5 years or more. It just depends kind of. And so, yeah, it just depends.
Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez? No? Okay. I have none. Dr. Canales?
Yeah, well, we have about 10, 15 minutes before the next
Okay.
presentation. So
Okay.
we thank you for your presentation.
Okay. Just one question for me. When will we know? I guess when the board's made its decision, is that going to be today, or should that be? We'll just get an email or something, or?
Yes, we'll be making a decision today, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that's on the agenda.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Rios.
right.
I have his email. You want me to tell him? Yeah, okay. Tell him, Carlos.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you, we can't ask anything about costs yet, right? We still don't know the scope.
Mr. Jordan, is your team on?
We are all here. Are you ready for us to begin?
Carlos, are you ready to go?
We are ready.
Okay. Dr. Canales?
Ready. So it's a
Okay.
10-minute, again, a 10-minute presentation, 10 minutes for Q&A, and we'll let them know at 1 minute before the presentation's over. So at 9 minutes.
Gentlemen, did you hear what Dr. Canales said, that at the 9-minute mark, you'll be informed that you have a minute left for your presentation? Are we ready to go?
We did. We're ready to go. We'll going to present a PowerPoint presentation.
By all means, y'all have the floor.
Give us 1 second to get the screen right. Okay.
Is that,
All right.
is that good, Jared?
That looks good to me. Can you guys see it there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, good evening, and thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to present our qualifications to assist Weslaco with this important investigation. We plan to cover several areas during the 10 minutes today, including introductions for the folks that are on this call, a brief overview of Weaver and our experience serving school districts across the state, the team and the structure of the team that we plan to utilize on this investigation, as well as our unique phased approach to these types of projects. So just to jump right into the introductions, I'm Jared Jordan. I lead our forensics in litigation services practice. I've been doing this type of work for over 20 years now, with a variety of different clients, from publicly traded companies to privately held companies to municipalities to ISDs to state agencies, really all over Texas and all over the country as well. I also regularly serve as an expert witness. I've testified over 20 times now in state and federal court, as well as in arbitrations and in depositions. Many of those issues also involve forensic accounting or fraud related issues. Bill, you want to introduce yourself, please? I think you're on mute still, Bill.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm Bill Brown. I formerly was a partner with Weaver for about 10 years, and at the time I ran the forensic practice. As you can see, I'm a former FBI agent. I've been doing forensic accounting and investigative work for probably 37 years now. While I was at Weaver, we completed the 5 biggest fraud cases in Texas school districts, which are listed on the screen there. But so if we've seen everything, we've worked on everything. We really know our way around the risk areas of school districts. Travis?
Yeah, my name is Travis Kasner. I'm a director in Weaver's Forensics and Litigation Services practice. I'm also a certified fraud examiner. I've got over 10 years of experience doing financial forensics and conducting fraud investigations and other financial investigations, the majority of which relate to public entities, including school districts, municipalities, and state and other local agencies. The types of investigations that I've been involved in range from reviewing vendor payments and fictitious vendors to construction fraud and schemes related to bribery and kickbacks, as well as misuse of funds, theft, credit card transactions, as well as misappropriation of both federal funds and grants.
Thanks, Travis and Bill. So just a brief overview of Weaver. We're the 35th largest accounting firm in the country. We've got 12 locations, including 9 in Texas, and have over 800 employees. So I'm sure you're looking at this like, well, why is this important to you guys? And really the answer is it's our people. Our value is really in our people. There really, as Bill mentioned, there's really not much that we haven't seen and that we can't handle, whether it's forensic accounting, fraud investigation related, or oftentimes we get into complex or technical accounting or tax issues in these types of engagements, and we can just walk down the hall to one of our 100+ partners and get industry specific knowledge on demand, which is a real differentiator for us in these types of situations.
So this is a list of some of Weaver's clients. We are the financial auditor for over 50 school districts in Texas, including the 5 largest school districts. And we also provide advisory services and forensic services for a number of these districts as well. On this list, the bold names are some of the forensic clients that we have, and there's some other ones as well that because the investigations are ongoing and the investigation is confidential, they're not included. But these are some of the ones, and as Bill mentioned earlier, Bill's along with Jared and myself have been involved in several of these, and Bill probably more than anybody. El Paso ISD is a fairly notorious one, and Bill, you were also involved in Rio Grande City ISD. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I ran that job, and it was more along the lines of vendor fraud. They were and misusing several of the federal grants that they had received. Okay,
and some of these other Beaumont ISD related to construction issues, and El Paso was academic fraud. So this kind of gives a range of the different clients and different types of matters that we've come across in our experience.
So let's talk about our approach for a few minutes, and that really starts with the team that we've assembled. You've heard introductions, myself and Travis and Bill, but wanted to note a couple of other key folks that would be part of the team that we would bring to bear in this situation. I wanted to highlight in particular Adam Jones. He was the former Deputy Commissioner for Finance and Administration, as well as the Chief Operating Officer for the TEA. He also chaired the TEA's Fraud, Risk Assessment, and Compliance Committee within the internal audit function. As you can imagine, he's seen quite a bit over the years, and he would really come into play for us where we had organizational issues or education issues. Also can help us with best practices from a ISD perspective. And then also wanted to highlight Dan Graves and Morgan Page. Dan is a partner and Morgan is a senior manager within our risk advisory service. They specialize in process improvement, internal controls, and have quite a bit of experience working with ISDs as well as university and college systems around the state. And then, as you can imagine, we also have other team members that specialize, for example, in data analytics. We would envision using a lot of those types of tools to analyze any types of financial transactions. And we identified that there's a team of individuals that would be supporting us throughout this engagement.
And to talk a little bit more about Weaver's approach when it comes to forensic audit or forensic investigations, we found in our experience that the best approach is a phased approach for our clients. And to kind of walk through the 3 phases and explain why this is the approach that we've adopted. Phase 1 is really to understand the issues in the areas that need further review and that are priorities to the stakeholders, the board. And a lot of times with investigations, it's really difficult to go into it knowing what the issues are or to be able to provide a work plan or a fee estimate until we really understand the issues. And so the goal of phase 1 is to kind of dig into the different areas, or identify the areas where we need to dig further, put together our work plan that's detailed and more precise, and a fee estimate to go over with the board. And so it eliminates the risk of us doing a bunch of work in areas that aren't relevant for the board or aren't as big of a priority. Phase 2 is where we do the traditional investigation for the areas identified for further review, which includes financial analysis, reviewing documents, electronic data, witness interviews, etc. And then phase 3 is when we prepare our report and present to the board.
Sir, 1 minute.
Okay, and if there's any, depending on the findings, if there's anything that needs to be referred to for prosecution, we routinely work with law enforcement, and they rely on our reports and evidence rather to prosecute and seek restitution. We also include present recommendations and ideas and for fraud prevention and any internal control gaps. So that's the phased approach that we've adopted in our investigations.
And that was good timing. I think we're right at 10 minutes. Obviously we are here and available to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Jose Villa?
Looking at this, and you guys turned in a very thorough report of your services and a great example of some of your work. And I've actually seen some of your reports out there, and I mean they're phenomenal, just very thorough, very detailed, and we appreciate your time and turning this in here to us. I don't have any questions right now at this moment. They'll come back to me.
Hey, Mr. De Los Santos?
Yes, I think I'm just gonna piggyback off of Trustee Trevino and say that yes, I saw the documentation that was submitted and the services that you all offer. Very impressed with the presentation of everything. I had one question. Organizational assessments. You all review organizational structures, how effective they are, processes as far as how people were hired, qualifications and experiences.
That is something that we can cover, yes. In particular, Adam Jones, who I mentioned, he specializes in organizational assessments.
Yeah, and process review is another area that we routinely provide those services.
Okay. That's all.
Okay. Mrs. Saita?
Yes, well, I just want to say when somebody hears the word audit, it obviously makes everybody a little nervous. Why are you wanting an audit? What's the reason? Our thing is just peace of mind. We want to make sure everything is going smoothly. Hopefully it is. But my question is, all the clients you've had before, do you find something 100% of the time with every single client? Or are there cases where you say, hey, you know what? Everything's going great. You guys don't need any recommendations or any changes?
Jared, if I can answer this question for her.
Please, Bill.
All of the forensic jobs that we've done for school districts in Texas, we've never had one where there was a finding that everything was working well. One thing you have to consider, I mean, sometimes people have a misconception of what a forensic examination is. A big part of every one of our reports, and if you've seen any of them, probably the most important part of it, other than the findings, is we have a very detailed list of recommendations for improvements that we leave the clients with. And so you have to look, it's not just a matter of finding if something bad has gone on, so to speak, but you're also going to get, good recommendations on how to try to prevent that problem from happening again in the future.
And one thing I'll add too is that, we may have findings and areas for improvement that Bill mentioned, but we certainly don't always find criminal activity or fraud where it needs to be referred to law enforcement. There's instances where there's allegations and concerns about theft by an employee, in which case there's already some presumption that there's wrongdoing. But in other cases, it's not uncommon for a new administration or new superintendent to ask us to take a look and see if there's any red flags. And in those situations, we may find areas for improvement, but not necessarily criminal wrongdoing.
So the forensic audit offers improvements that are needed and insights as to what we can fix.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you for your time, gentlemen. Really do appreciate it.
And I have none. So, again, thank you. And, we're very appreciative of your time and effort. So,
Okay.
anything else, Dr. Canales, on this?
No, sir, just thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. That brings us to item 4, adjournment.
So moved.
The time now is 6:10, and this workshop is adjourned. Okay.
Very interesting.
Good evening. I am Armando Guerra Jr., President of the Weslaco ISD Board of Trustees. This special board meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Greg Abbott's suspension of certain open meeting law requirements to the extent necessary to allow for telephonic and video conference meetings in response to COVID-19. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. The board is meeting by the use of Google Meets and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during public comments. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. The time now is 6:11. And I call this meeting to order. I'll now be getting the roll call. And we'll start with Mr. Andrew
Here.
Gonzalez. Mr. Jackie Sustaita.
Present?
Mr. Mark de los Santos.
Present.
Jose Trevino.
Present.
Do we have Mr. Rodriguez on video or telephonic?
Not at this time.
We don't have?
No.
And Mr. Nieto had a previous commitment. And of course, myself, Armando Cuellar. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum of board members present. Item 3, public comments?
There are none?
None. Item 4, discussion and possible action for the board to approve a method for the selection of a forensic audit firm to audit the district's finances and operations, RFQ number 21-01-20. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, during the December 17th, 2020 regular school board meeting, you approved for administration to release the request for qualifications for certified public accounting firms to provide forensic audit services to our district. We received a total of 2 qualification statements, one from Cars, Rigg and Ingram LLC and one from Weaver and Tidwell LLP. Board of Trustees, it is administration's interpretation of this, of a section of government law that the board may select a forensic audit firm without having to rank them first. We have legal counsel here who I believe was consulted as well and agrees. The audit firm, Weaver and Tidwell LLP, indicated in their qualification statement response that their entire qualification statement response is confidential. The government codes that I was referring to, the first one states that a governmental entity may not select a provider of professional services or a group or association providers or award a contract for the services on the basis of competitive bids submitted for the contract or for the services, but shall make the selection and award on the basis of demonstrated competence and qualifications to perform the services and for a fair and reasonable price. And B, the professional fees under contract may not exceed any maximum provided by law. Also, Government Code Section 2254.002 definition states that governmental entity means a state agency or department, B, a district, authority, county, municipality, or other political subdivision of the state. C, a local government corporation or another entity created by or acting on behalf of a political subdivision in the planning and design of a construction project. Or D, a publicly owned utility. Number 2, professional services means services within the scope of the practice as defined by state law of accounting, and I'll just highlight that one, it's relevant to this. And B, provided in connection with the professional employment or practice of a person who is licensed or registered as a certified public accountant. So Board of Trustees, we're recommending that you approve a method for the selection of a forensic audit firm to audit the district's finances and operations as part of RFQ number 21-01-20. Based on the Government Code Section 2254.003, as explained, the board can just make a selection without going through a formal ranking of the qualifications statements submitted.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Canales.
It's a lot, I know, sorry.
Do we have a motion for a method for selection?
I motion to just go by majority vote instead of ranking them.
Okay, Coach
I'll second.
Trevino motions that we select by majority vote.
I'll second that.
Is that the correct wording, Council? Okay. And Mr. De Los Santos seconds the motion for us to approve the selection of a firm by majority vote. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll entertain your vote and signify by saying aye if you approve or no if you don't. Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Mrs. Susaita?
Aye.
And Coach Savini?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 5. Discussion and possible action for the board to, I guess we're going to go with B, select a forensic audit firm in response to the qualifications for providing the forensic audit services to the district's finances and operations. Do we have a motion for a firm?
I make the motion for Weaver and Tidwell.
I'll second.
And who's Mr. Gonzalez? Seconds for Weaver and Tidwell to provide the forensic audit services to the school district finance and operations, RFQ number 21-01-20. Do we have any discussion? If none, then I'll entertain your approval by saying aye. Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Mrs. Staita?
Aye.
Mr. Los Santos?
Aye.
Were you going to abstain on this one?
Yes, sir, I have to abstain, as I stated
Abstain?
earlier. Yes.
And the chair also votes aye, so motion carries. We now go to
Closed session.
item 6, into a closed session. A, consultation with attorney regarding A, pending or contemplated litigation. B, a settlement offer. Or C, a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Texas Government Code 551.071. We will now go into closed session. The time is 6:19. Okay. We are now reconvened in open meeting. The time now is 6:56. And let the record reflect that Mr. Andrew Gonzalez left at 6:54. Okay. A, possible action on items discussed in closed meeting. Dr. Canales?
There are no action items, President Guerrero.
No action item. That takes us to item 8, adjournment.
Motion for adjournment.
Okay, we are adjourned. The time now is 6:57.